I want you to think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs.
I just know that was a, you know what I'm saying, that was a spiritual murder, whether people know it or not, because God don't kill people. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all, Jaguar Wright is back at it again, stirring up some serious drama with her latest bombshells about Jay Z and Diddy. And this time, she's dropping a major bombshell, claiming that these two were somehow involved in the tragic demise of Aaliyah. But that's not all. Jaguar suggesting that when Mary J. Blige tried to drop hints about Aaliyah's suspicious death, Diddy allegedly swooped in and strong-armed her into silence. Now, sure, a bunch of people were quick to brush off Jaguar's claims as just wild gossip, but with new details emerging about Aaliyah's passing, fans are demanding answers, and a lot of folks are saying we better not ignore what Jaguar's saying. After all, she's been right about things like this before. But what exactly did Jaguar spill about Jay Z and Diddy's supposed involvement in Aaliyah's death? And does Mary J. Blige know more than she's letting on? What's the 411, hun? Let's break it down.
It's time for the public to ask you why Aaliyah couldn't get on Lenny Kravitz's plane. And you had to put her on that clown car plane. Who asked you to say that?
It's been more than 2 decades since we lost the princess of R&B, Aaliyah, in that tragic plane crash. But fans are still pushing for her case to be reopened, especially now that new evidence hints that her death might have been orchestrated by big shots in the industry. Now, anyone who remembers Aaliyah from her prime knows that she was on another level. Aaliyah was the whole package. She could sing, dance, and act, and she had brains, beauty, and humility to boot. She was truly the epitome of talent and grace.
To be an entertainer. I wanted to sing, I wanted to act, I wanted to dance. From the moment I stepped foot on stage, at 6 years old, in the play Annie, I was like, this is what I want to do. I have to do this. I'm happy doing this. So I'm living it, and I'm very, very happy about it.
But tragically, on August 25th, 2001, Aaliyah's life was cut short at just 22 years of age in a bizarre plane crash in the Bahamas.
The plane, just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather, suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented singer and actress.
Officially, they said the crash happened because the plane was overloaded and flown by a pilot who wasn't experienced enough. But Aaliyah's fans weren't buying the official story because there are so many loose ends. Now, to give you some context, on August 21st, 2001, Aaliyah was on BET talking about how she was set to shoot the Rock the Boat music video the next day with director Hype Williams.
It's so good on the countdown, and we gotta know what the next video is, and I hope you're saying it's the song I love.
Yes. It's Rock the Boat.
Yes!
It's Rock the Boat.
Yeah! Now, when can we expect that?
I shoot the video tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And that video should be out, and we're hoping like beginning of September.
On August 22nd, Aaliyah jetted off to Miami, where Hype had arranged a green screen set for filming dance moves and underwater scenes.
I'm going grape mouth on this one. See, like if you get red lollipops, you get red mouth. So you get great ones, you get grape mouth. It's anger management.
Alright, so I'm gonna check things out sometimes, make sure it's looking good. It's all good. Right now we're getting ready to do the dance. Excited about that.
But here's where things get strange. Out of the blue, Hype decided they needed to switch locations to the Bahamas. So on August 23rd, Aaliyah and the Virgin Records crew hopped on a plane to the islands. But what nobody could figure out was why Hype made this sudden change. They had everything set up in Miami, the fancy green screen, the gorgeous beaches, so why the switch? Aaliyah's ex, Dame Dash, later revealed that he had warned her against going. She had a fear of flying, and it just didn't add up why Hype was insisting on the Bahamas.
You didn't want her to go, did you?
No. So she was shooting a video in Miami.
Yep.
And I had my son and my nephews with me. And, you know, she was very supportive. She particularly liked Freeway, his voice. and she was supportive of everything I was doing. She was like, yo, while I'm in Miami, I had the State Property down there, which was a group, and she was gonna do a record with Freeway. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna come down there, I'll check you, I'll bring the kids, make a vacation, work, the whole nine. So when we got there, you know, Hype was making this video, and I was like, I know Hype. I just got off of Big Pimpin', where I had to cut the video, you know what I mean? Because he likes to spend bread. So I was like, you know he's gonna make you do another day. Don't do it. Trust me, it's just so he can spend money, you know? And sure enough, she came home that day, and I had a big house, I rented this house, and she's like, I'm going to, you know, there. And I was like, I just thought that it wasn't necessary.
According to Dame, when Aaliyah saw the plane they provided for her, her intuition was telling her not to board it. But that's not all. Dame also revealed that Lenny Kravitz offered Aaliyah his private jet, but Hype Williams took it from her.
Saw the plane. She, you know, we had the Blackberries, and she said, I don't like this plane. And I was like, well, don't get on it. And she was like, well, I got to because I got work to do. She got on the plane, and she always had a very serious fear of planes in general. So she had to overcome a fear to get on that plane on the way there. But what I was really more tight about was that I had heard that Lenny Kravitz had offered her a jet and that Hype had took the jet. So that's what really pissed me off about the situation when I heard about that. So you could ask Hype about that.
That's what I said. Have you ever talked to Hype about it?
Yeah.
And how did that conversation go?
Ask him.
But I also am asking you.
Yeah, but ask him.
But here's where things get really sinister. In journalist Kathy Landoli's 2021 biography of Aaliyah, she uncovered a major clue. According to Landoli, Aaliyah actually hesitated to get on the plane at first. She went back to a taxi, complaining of a headache to her team. But here's the kicker. An eyewitness named Kingsley Russell, whose family owned the taxi company, spilled the beans. He said that someone from Aaliyah's team got into the taxi with her and gave her a pill. Shortly after that, Aaliyah passed out. And according to Russell, she was literally carried onto the plane. And just moments after takeoff, the plane crashed, taking the lives of everyone on board. So if this whole tragedy was indeed planned, who stood to gain from Aaliyah's untimely demise? Well, according to Jaguar Wright, both Jay Z and Beyonce had a lot riding on Aaliyah not being in the picture anymore. And here's where it gets interesting. Fans have been speculating that Jay might have hired Hype Williams to persuade Aaliyah to fly to the Bahamas. Here's the kicker. When Hype later directed Beyonce and Jay Z's Drunken Love video, fans couldn't help but notice something. The opening scene with Beyonce holding a trophy seemed like it could be a nod to her taking Aaliyah's spot as the top R&B star. Adding fuel to the fire, there's another layer to this whole saga. Jay Z's close ties with R. Kelly, who notoriously manipulated Aaliyah and married her when she was just 15 using a fake ID. Here's another kicker. It seems like everyone in the music industry was aware of Kelly's crimes, including Jay Z, but they all turned a blind eye to it. What's more, Jay Z even collaborated on an album called Best of Both Worlds with R. Kelly years after the public found out about Kelly's illegal marriage to Aaliyah. And according to Dame Dash, this was the moment he realized he needed to distance himself from Jay Z.
But you notice I wasn't a part of any of that, and the karma happens. But the thing I didn't understand is I was like, I know I'm not that. And because of the moral challenge and him choosing one way, I knew morally we weren't the same. So to me, Rockefeller was defunct. It was over. I couldn't with it. It was something that to me was just like, not to say unforgivable, but I couldn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? And then I didn't understand how people didn't, I thought, well, the people aren't gonna have that. But nobody said nothing.
With all these pieces of the puzzle, it's no wonder fans and even some folks within the industry are tossing around some wild theories. Mary J. Blige herself once called Aaliyah's passing a spiritual murder.
Listen, I don't even know what to say. I just know that was a, you know what I'm saying, that was a spiritual, whether people know it or not, because God don't kill people. You know what I'm saying, whether people know it or not. And I could go deep, but a lot of people I would have to really bring proof, you know what I'm saying, for what I learned. And she just was cut down in the prime of her life. And it's so unfair. And it wasn't time. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, I believe it wasn't her time to go, because from what I know, it ain't supposed to go down like that.
But why would Mary J. refer to a plane crash as a spiritual murder? unless she knows something that we don't. And what did she mean by it wasn't supposed to go down like that? Was she simply referring to the fact that Aaliyah's life was cut short in her prime, or was she trying to drop some hints that someone was behind this tragedy? Well, if you ask Jaguar Wright, it's hard not to wonder if there's something fishy going on with Aaliyah's tragic end. And Jaguar is now pointing fingers at both Jay Z and his rumored partner in crime. According to Jaguar, Jay Z used Diddy to help him execute his devious plan because Diddy had a reputation for getting hold of these mysterious substances that could knock someone out cold in the blink of an eye, or even worse, mimic symptoms of a regular medical condition, leading to some pretty dire consequences. Back in 2022, when Jaguar made waves with her interview on Real Life Productions, she alleged that Jay Z started clienteling with Diddy early on in his career, and allegedly, Jay asked Diddy to get Aaliyah an invite to one of his parties so he could make his move on her.
Doing songs with Biggie and building a working, camaraderie with Honeycombs and AKA Diddy. And
why do you give him the honeycombs? Why do you give him honeycombs?
Because he smacks so sweet.
As for Jay's friendship with R. Kelly, Jaguar alleged that the reason Jay never spoke about Kelly harming Aaliyah was because he was most likely guilty of the same thing.
And he was working with R. Kelly and they were making so many records together. They made all those records together. They both f***ed Aaliyah. They shared so much in common. And that's like it never happened. Whoever talks about best of both worlds? Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about that project.
That's smooth under the rug.
Why?
We know why.
You know what? I got a better question.
Yeah.
How valuable is a Biggie Smalls verse?
But that's not all. Jaguar explained that Jay Z had his sights set on having the leading R&B girl by his side. Problem was, Aaliyah wasn't feeling him, and instead, she started seeing Dame Dash. So what did Jay Z do? Well, according to Jaguar, he didn't take it lightly. He seemingly tossed Dame Dash under the bus and shifted his attention from Aaliyah to Beyonce.
I think everybody that knows Sean Carter knows that he will slump anyone in any relationship for $1. Look at how he did Dame. Like, I don't give a if you wanted to get away from your homie, if you wanted to get away from your partner, but to do it the way he did it, it's malicious. But maybe that was because he was a girl that didn't want you.
Oh.
But this apparently wasn't enough for Jay Z, and according to Jaguar, he also wanted to punish Aaliyah for rejecting him. So Jaguar recently made a grand return to that iconic blue couch on Real Life Productions, and this time she came armed with some fresh bombshells, alleging that Jay Z used Hype Williams to help him do away with Aaliyah.
It's time to talk hype. It's time for the public to ask you why Aaliyah couldn't get on Lenny Kravitz's plane. And you had to put her on that clown car plane. Who asked you to say that? And do yourself a favor before you make any statements. Please remember, I was out a little ex. You're apprenticed. I know a lot more about you than you think I do. It's time for us to stop with the truth. It is time for Aaliyah Dana Houghton's death to be properly investigated.
Jaguar also called out Aaliyah's choreographer Fatima Robinson, who happened to be there when tragedy struck. But here's the twist. For some mysterious reason, both Fatima and Hype used a different plane the next day to go from the Bahamas back to Miami.
For Fatima Robinson to speak up about what she heard on that phone. It's time for somebody to be honest about who gave Aaliyah the pills that knocked her out before she was carried onto a plane she didn't want to be on. It's time for the other dancers who knew she was terrified to get on that plane to speak up. And it's time for Hype Williams to be officially questioned about why he made her get on that plane and why they forced her to do it unconscious.
So according to Jaguar, Jay Z masterminded Aaliyah's demise as payback for her picking Dame over him and to elevate Beyonce to the top spot.
I want you to think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened.
And remember that Mary J. Blige interview where she called Aaliyah's passing a spiritual murder? Well, Jaguar went deep into how all of this connects back to Jay Z and Diddy. According to Jaguar's theory, there's more to Aaliyah's tragic end than meets the eye. And she suggests that Jay Z and Diddy might have been pulling some strings behind the scenes, orchestrating a sinister plot. And when it was all over, Diddy allegedly used his blackmailing tactics to make sure that Mary J. never spoke about Aaliyah again.
Now, I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay Z victim, and you got a superstar gone.
Now you know how it is when Jaguar Wright starts making waves. A lot of people are quick to dismiss her as a clout chaser, but many more are saying Jaguar is speaking nothing but facts. One fan said, Aaliyah was murdered. I've known this since the late 90s. Protect this woman at all costs. And another one wrote, I believe you, Jaguar, because Jay Z and P. Diddy would do anything for $1. These fellows are still mentally shackled to the projects and willing to sell their souls for a penthouse uptown. Damn, that's not power, that's dangerous. But let me know how you feel about Jaguar's theory on Aaliyah's death. Do you think there's any truth to her allegations about Jay Z and Diddy being behind this tragic loss? Drop your comments below and don't miss out on this next video.